may have a few more folks that will come in just a moment, but we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Pastor Pringle. I'd like to welcome you on behalf of Hiawatha Valley Baptist Church and Linda's family to this memorial service for her. Linda requested 3 songs that could be sung during the service, and so we're going to start with the first one right now. Denise, if you'll come and play for us. It's number 154. It's entitled What a Privilege Having Jesus. And we will sing that right after our opening prayer. Father, we do thank you for the day, the opportunity that we have to gather together to remember a dear family member in freedom. Each of us have our own special memories of Linda. We ask that you would just embed those in our hearts today, so that in the future, that when we think of her, they will easily come to mind. We just ask that you would bless this time now as we celebrate her life together and share our news. And ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Oh, number 154, What a Friend We Have in Jesus. And you can use the hymn book or you can use the screen. Linda Beth Richardson, 74, of 26 Tower Drive, Auburn, PA, formerly of 1215 West 4th Street, Red Wing, Minnesota, went to be with her Heavenly Father on August 19th at Weston Senior Living Center at Pine Brook, Orangeburg, Pennsylvania. Linda was born in Quinton, Oklahoma on February 20th, 1940, a daughter of the late Billy F. Hudson and Jody Warren. She was the widow of Don R. Richardson, with whom she was married for 55 years. Linda owned and operated Hair Classics until the couple moved from Ortonville, Minnesota to Red Wing in 1992. She continued her passion of doing hair until her death dictated otherwise for her. She was a member of Hiawatha Valley Baptist Church here in Red Wing, serving in several capacities. She is survived by her daughters Marcy, husband Alan Holman of Auburn, PA, married husband Gary Henningberg of Holloway, Minnesota, Silas Richardson of Wyoming, and David, wife Charlene Richardson of Montevideo, Minnesota. Sister Mary Emery of Virginia Beach, brother Dan Warren of Goddard, Kansas, 3 sisters-in-law and spouses, all of Florida, 8 grandchildren and 16 great-grandchildren. She was preceded in death by her husband, her parents, her in-laws, and a very special niece and nephew. Linda had a couple of verses that she wanted us to share. And you see the first one printed there in the obituary, or in the order of service. It says, "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his godly ones." And we'd like to join in singing another favorite verse, number 230, "The Old Rugged Cross." We'll sing all the verses there.
For a word
Terry is going to share to you with us.
Even though some of Grandma Linda's immediate family could not be present today to reflect and celebrate her life, we had the privilege of writing this eulogy and telling her story. On behalf of her family, we would like to thank you all for being here today. She has meant a lot to so many people, and your presence signifies how many lives she impacted during her 74 years on earth. In speaking of Grandma Linda, a name she was called by her 8 grandchildren and 16 great-grandchildren, we can all agree her name brings forth the best adjectives of elegance and grace. Her elegance was engraved deep within her heart and portrayed outwardly by her love of the world. She carried grace in every word she spoke in being a servant of the Lord. The roles she served were many: wife, mother, daughter, grandmother, sister, and friend. In each of these roles, she made sure they were done with elegance and grace. She was the type of person, despite the task at hand, was done to the best of her ability and with the utmost pride. Another word kept coming up to me when thinking about Grandma Linda was grit. Grit is the firmness of mind or spirit, unyielding courage in the face of hardship or danger. No matter how tough times got, Grandma Linda continued to see the good in her life and again continued doing everything with elegance and grace. The last few years have been tough with a cancer diagnosis and the loss of her husband, yet she held on to her faith and remained optimistic. The values of faith, family, charity, and hard work were instilled in her from an early age. She passed these values on to each of her 4 children, teaching them that what really matters is a happy life. Her faith inspired many. She cared about the less fortunate and strongly believed the Lord is here to guide and protect us. Evidence of Grandma's grit: consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. James 1:2-4. Her steadfast strength in life and God was her foundation. Throughout her life, she took on trials as they came, looking and relying on the Lord during those troubled times. Until her dying day, her faith remained intact. During the last month of her life, she decided to uproot from Minnesota to Pennsylvania. During that time, she was able to surround herself daily with loved ones. After fighting a courageous fight to cancer, she closed her eyes to join her Heavenly Father and the true love of her life, her related husband, Don. They are together in heaven, cancer-free, without pain, enjoying each other's company and continuing to carry on elegance and grace. Here's a poem we found written by Grandma Linda in September of 1971. This signifies her commitment to the Lord and the way she lived her life. Just turn to Jesus. Fear throughout the land, troubles on every hand. Just turn to Jesus. Don't complain. He died not in vain. Darkness is closing in. The popular thing is sin. Just turn to Jesus. Don't complain. He died not in vain. Satan will lose the fight. Then there'll be no more night. Just turn to Jesus. Don't complain. He died not in vain. No more fear, sin, or cold. Just joy and peace on the streets of gold. Just turn to Jesus. Don't complain. He died not in vain.
4:19b was another one of her favorite scriptures. I added some verses around it to help you understand the context to where it is coming from. And so this is Paul writing to the church at Ephesus. He says, "For this reason I bow my knees before the Father, from whom every family in heaven and on earth derives its name, that he would grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with power through his Spirit in the inner man, and so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, and that you, being rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend with all the saints what is the breadth and length and height and depth, and to know the love of Christ and surpass his knowledge, that you may be filled up to all the fullness of God." It was the love that Linda had in her life for her Lord, the love that Linda had in her life for her family. It was the love that Linda had in her life for her friends, is why you're here today, honoring her by your presence. And so this is the time when we're going to take opportunity to allow you to say and share the precious memories that you have of Linda. Who would like to start us?
I'm Dwayne Carnes. I was Don and Linda's pastor in Ortonville, Minnesota. They were there 8 years while I was there. I actually was there 10 years. One of the things that drew my attention to them as we began to get acquainted in this first year that I was there was that Don and Linda made multiple trips down to Kansas. And I'm a Kansas boy, so we compared notes how to get there near Wichita, Kansas. They were going to El Dorado, and I went to Augusta, which is in the same neighborhood as El Dorado. But anyway, we shared notes, but also throughout the years, Linda, through her beautician shop, Style and Care, she took care of my family, all 5 of us, in our hair the whole time we were there for 8 years. We had to scramble for somebody else after we left. But it was good to get acquainted with her. One of the things that through her Style and Care that you see her compassion was the fact that she was willing not only to style people's hair during their lifetime, she went to the funeral home and styled their hair even at the funeral home. So she carried on her caring at that point. In visiting Don and Linda in their home, we did that a number of times. The home was in Big Stone City in South Dakota, just across the Big Stone River or lake. And at that point, we were able to have sometimes parties there from the church, but also we had times where just Don and Linda and myself as their pastor would pray for prayer needs that they had. And there were opportunities to pray for their family. Mary and Marcy and the boys prayed for all of them. And even grandchildren at that time, even though there were fewer then than there is now. And we prayed for them. Don was the person in the church that always ushered people in. He'd always be standing at the back door ushering people in. And one of the things that Don would do is hand out candy to the children. Practice that verse, blessed are the little children, let them come unto thee. And the children would come up to him and he became known as Candy Don. And Linda would sing in the choir as well as offer her ministry in the services in the church as well. I'm thankful for those memories that we had of Don and Linda.
I'm not very good at speaking, but thought about this a little bit ahead of time. But I just remember Linda and Don, when we went to, where I went to the church, that was wonderful Don and Linda both were, and their whole family, to me, and I can't begin to tell you how much I miss her. It's not easy for me to make friends and things and talk to people as it was for her. And I just kind of followed along, and I think I just depended on her all those years. And so we really miss both of them. And I just know that she went in to be with Jesus, and they're having a good time today, I do believe. So we're like thankful for the memories that we have. Okay. Linda, the first time she opened her mouth and had that Okie accent, I went, I love you. And she was such a friend and such a help. If there's something that needed to be done in the church, adding all those things, mother, grandmother, she was teacher, she was leader, she was pot scrubber, you name it, and she was it. And I don't know if it's about all Southern women, but we like to talk. And we do. When I call her and I go, Linda, she go, well, and I knew I better get comfy in the chair because we were going to have a chat. And she loved tales. I have heard all the tales of Elaine and Linda getting lost on every Minnesota highway, going to the thing. And the Lord blessed her that some poor little lady that had had her hair washed in 30 years, God let her wash her hair, and then the woman died. You know, I mean, she said that was my service for the Lord, is that she let that little lady have clean hair when she went to heaven. You know, and she just, I told Elaine a while ago, I said, there is no one that met Linda that didn't love her. You know, and Linda didn't meet anybody that she didn't love. Her and Dawn were such a rock for us. And I love her all the way down to my toes. And I just am grateful for we started in 90, like you said, 92 is when they came. And she has been a dear friend. She and I went through cancer at the same time, and if I was feeling bad, Linda was the one that would encourage me. I just truly love her and Dawn. They were like family to us. But I wouldn't want her back because I know she is just rejoicing, her and Dawn. He's running around heaven.
I'm Nancy Albrecht, and I knew Don and Linda right away when they came to Red Wing. We went to a different church together. And as soon as I met Don and Linda, they were striking. And you could not forget them. And they were such a couple. And I loved listening to Linda's stories too, especially of them meeting Don and Linda. And was it like Linda did not like Don right away? Or something? Or I just loved their stories. I would just listen with rapture to their stories. And Bill and I were able to have a Bible series in our home called The Covenant Marriage. And they were such examples of how to be a married couple together. And they were just so gracious. And Linda had such quiet strength and faith. And she was never a complainer, always an encourager. And when I was going through difficulties with my parents and their illnesses, she was just always so encouraging and positive. And I too miss Don and Linda so much, but those memories will carry us through, and we will meet again in heaven and glory. And I'm so thankful for that.
Well, I'm looking at one of the things I was just sitting here, I mean, before this, I knew we would have this time to share, and I was going through all these memories and memories and memories and trying to sort through. But one of the things I said just a little while ago to Alice, as we were leaving, she said something about the film that would be up there, and we get to see Don and Linda together again. And as I'm listening to everybody talk here, I mean, we're having a wonderful memorial service to remember Linda, but it's Don and Linda too. They were such a unit. And that was one of my first memories. I was also in the marriage covenant class, and they were such an example to all of us because they were the longest married couple that was there. And they were such an example to all of us for love love of God, helping you to overcome, love of Jesus helping you overcome every problem you have on earth and strengthen the love you have for each other and for your family. And we learned so much just by their example. I also had I guess my warmest thought of Linda whenever I think of Linda is, I caught your word elegant, but and she was a very elegant lady, but her style. She was such a lady, she had such a style. It got to me when we'd be shopping and I'd say to my daughter, here's a Linda Richardson shirt. or here's a Linda Richardson dress, because she had such a sense of self and the way she dressed, and it was so elegant and so joyful and so color and so Western, Southwestern, and it was just her identity. It was just part of who she was. And even as she was going through things, I remember one of the things she was talking about when she first got the cancer diagnosis, and I went to her and I said, you know, one of the things, because I had cancer in that area too, and you're going to have this bloating that's going to come and go, I said, you need to go to a really nice maternity shop and buy some really styling maternity pants, because they will help with that as you're going. And I just knew, because I knew she'd want to be nicely dressed through all of this, and that was so important to her. And she so thanked me over and over afterwards for that hint. She passed it on to her doctors and Mayo, who were going to then pass it on to other cancer patients. She thought that was just a great hint. She also invited me, one of the things she did, she recognized the struggling artist early on in me and encouraged it. And first she invited me to go with her to a place where she painted her dolls. I went to class with her for a couple of years, and we painted China dolls together. And then later, when I started my watercolor, very early on, and I self-trained, and I wasn't very good at all at that point. I wish I could do it over again. She approached me. She had written a story, a Christmas story, about her beloved Siamese cats. And she asked if I would draw pictures for her story. And I was very glad, and like I said, I wish I had the opportunity to do it over because I'm better now. But she was so appreciative of it. And it was just wonderful to share some of those. You know, she was a woman of God, the Proverbs 31 woman, down to her bones. But she was also just a woman, a beautiful, wonderful, warm, loving woman. And we will miss her, but, you know, I envy all the years you guys knew that we didn't, because she was special. She was special to all my kids, special to everybody in the church. So, just thank you, Linda.
I'll try. They started going to the church that we were going to, remember, quite a few years ago, about 20 years ago. And the first Sunday they were there, we invited them out for lunch. And I think nearly every Sunday after that, we went out for lunch together. And when our husbands were both living, we'd go on little weekend trips. And I remember one particularly that we went to Preston, Minnesota, and rented a farmhouse for a weekend. And that was the weekend that Princess Diana was killed. And it was a lovely farmhouse, except it was full of crickets. Linda did not like insects, but other than that, we had a fine time that weekend. And then after she retired, she and I would go on little day trips. And we went on one little trip, and we stopped at a lovely restaurant for lunch. And we went in, and the waitress took our order, and we both ordered iced tea. And pretty soon the waitress came, and she brought my iced tea. And she said, Linda, I'll bring yours in just a little while. And so pretty soon she came, and you know that Linda, even though she was in South Dakota and Minnesota for many years, she never lost her Oklahoma accent. Well, anyway, the woman put down, she put down a bottle of wine and a glass in front of Linda. And Linda said, well, she said, I ordered off tea. And the waitress said, oh, I thought you said Ostie. She apologized for that and put a great laugh over the kitchen. And, well, I talked to her just about
music has always been very special in our church, and Don and Linda both were so involved in that. But throughout the years, we've had a number of wonderful piano players, and Linda was one of those. But this morning, I Googled honky tonk Christian music, and so for those of you that remember the way that she played piano, she played it in a honky tonk manner, and I was sure that her picture would come up, but it didn't. And but there's some awesome music there that reminded me of her.